All aboard and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Animation Station. I am Brandon C. McClure, once again hijacking Animation Station to do a couple of fun little Digimon things with my good friend, Ben Magnet. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. We are pulling up Back to the Future Part 3 where we're stealing the train.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
We're stealing it for a science experiment, not for any nefarious reasons.
Yes, we are here to talk about the third part in the Digimon Adventure Tri series. If you are joining us now, what the hell? Go back and listen to the first two. This is part 3. I don't know what you're doing here. Here you go. We're talking about Digimon Adventure Tri Confession. This is directed once again by Keitaro Motonaga, written by Akiyoshi Hongo. All right, what did you think about this one, Ben? Part 3.
Part 3, it kind of felt like a bit of a mid-season finale in a way. Because I know we have 6 or somewhat 7 films, but
the Tri films are an arc, and then Last Evolution of Kizuna is like an epilogue.
Yeah. So this did feel like a mid-season finale in a show where they drop a big revelation and a big thing that does set up stuff for the rest of the season. And it does. It's weird. I liked this one, but at the same time, it's like this one definitely brought in the feels. Whereas the last one, it was focusing more on Joe and Mimi. This one was like more. Whereas it was Joe and Mimi with the perils in their own personal lives. This one was definitely more about the connection between the kids and their Digimon, specifically TK and Patamon. I mean, we'll get into it later on in the show, but this one. I still enjoyed this one, but I don't know if I enjoyed it more than, say, Determination or Reunion.
I think I like this one more than I like Reunion. There's some choices that it makes that I'm not a fan of. I didn't like this as much as I like Determination. I think Determination rules. As what we mentioned in the last discussion. There's decisions I just wouldn't have made, and I think one of the benefits of having these movies is that you focus on these two characters, right? The first one is very much about Ty and Matt. Second one is Joe and Mimi. This one is, I guess, TK and Izzy, but it's a little too confused about whether or not it wants to focus solely on TK and Izzy or if it wants to focus on other characters, because there are other characters that kind of get more of a spotlight than TK or Izzy.
Yeah, like Mako. Mako gets the spotlight. Like, we finally meet Mako's parents. We meet her mom. We see her in the aftermath of Mekumon going essentially infected berserk and just going absolutely crazy. But because when you look at the cover, like, what I love about the covers for the films is that the cover is also like, hey, these are the characters we're focusing on. And while I do think it does focus on TK quite a bit for him to earn his cover spot, Izzy just feels like he's there and he only has like these scenes, but Izzy doesn't go through any real growth. You know what I mean?
I think you're right about that. I think what we run into with this one, excuse me, is that when it comes to Izzy, look, full spoilers if you haven't seen these films, are going to spoil them. They're ancient at this point. Izzy gets a mega.
Yeah.
We meet Hercules Kabuterimon in this movie. TK doesn't. And I would say it's arguably more TK's film than it is Izzy's film. And if the megas are representative of the culmination of a character's story arc in these films, I don't understand why we don't meet Patamon's mega and not Izzy's mega instead. And and here's the thing, I'll say that, but towards the end of the episode, towards the end of the movie, I actually quite like Tentomon's arc more than I like Izzy's arc, right? I like Tentomon more than I like Izzy in this movie. And it's a little weird, just the decision. It just kind of feels a little confused about which character it really wanted to focus on.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because I do agree. Like, Tentomon had more of a, I wouldn't say arc, but he definitely had more of an impact than Izzy did.
Whereas he certainly gets a sadder scene.
Yeah, he definitely does, especially when he's like up there and watching all of his friends get infected and they're fighting each other. It's just oof.
Also, real quickly, not to jump too far ahead, it sucks that when Metal Greymon becomes infected, he gets to digivolve to War Greymon, and none of the other Digimon, the
I
infected Digimon,
know
digivolve.
how that's some bullshit. But I mean,
Anyway,
I have a note about that. Well, not a note about that, but my note is just basically hell yeah, Metal Greymon, because you all know that I like some Metal Greymon.
I like Metal Greymon. All right, well let's start actually with something that I've been railing about, and I will continue to rail about. The
Does it?
opening of this movie is they knock on the door of Ken's residence. And I think it's so funny because I've been saying throughout these films, and I will continue to say that I think it's really weird that major plot of these films aren't the fact that these Digidestin are missing.
Mhm.
Um, but and it's really nice that we get like a Ken's not home. That's weird. Hey, have you texted everybody else? Oh yeah, I haven't received any text messages from anyone. And then that's it. It's not weird to TK or Kari that their friends are just missing. Like it's such a weird reaction in this movie because they do address that these characters are missing.
Mhm.
Finally, they do. And the Digidestin are aware now that these characters are missing. However, it's not important at all. I
Yeah,
just find
it's
that so baffling.
no, I 100% agree because even uh what you call it?
Which one?
Agent not Nishijima,
Kimikawa?
the yeah.
Yeah.
Himikawa is saying like, do you know how she like when she lies to the kid or like when she lies to Matt, it's like in the middle of the movie when she lies to Matt, and then Nishijima's like, dude, what are you doing? Why did you lie to Matt about our situation? And she's like, if I had to tell him that a bunch of Digidestin are missing, that would just pile on even more problems for him. But we also know that she has nefarious means because of her like evil smiles throughout the film.
Yeah, she very much goes full evil in this film. And we learn who that Ken is,
Mm-hmm.
by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Genai.
Yeah. You know what? Fun. Okay. Fun little fact or fun little side note. When I was a kid, I always heard it.
Genai. Sorry.
Yeah, I always heard it pronounced as Jedi.
Jedi? No, it's
Y-
Genai.
Yeah, I didn't hear the N. It sounded like a D to me as a kid. So when my brother and I first heard it, we were like, "Why is it called Jedi? Like, are they Star Wars fans or something?"
And this is the younger version of Genai after he somehow de-aged himself in the O2 season.
Oh, I forgot he did that. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
just remember, I remember the old man with who has very puffy eyes.
Yeah, that's how he appears in the adventure, and then he is able to make himself younger in Adventure 2. And I don't remember exactly how he was able to do that, but clearly he's still younger in this film.
I want some of that young juice.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's just so weird that TK and Kari just don't address that their friends are missing
Yeah,
again. It's just they're just gone. And they're just like, let's just knock on his door. Well, we tried.
yeah. It's once again to not to reference Star Wars one more time, but it's like that scene in New Hope where they're like, where the stormtroopers are in Tatooine, they knock, it's like doors locked, moving on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. It's like exactly that. Well, I guess they're not here. I guess they're just not around to help us.
Hmm.
And especially with this reboot happening, with this reboot looming, which I'll talk about in a minute. No one when the Digimon are rebooted, no one has the mention of like, hey, maybe we should see if Davis is okay because we just rebooted Vmon.
Yeah.
Maybe we should see if Yoli is okay because Hawkmon is rebooted now, and
Hmm.
like they need to know that their Digimon friends might not know who they are.
Yeah, same with Cody and Armadillomon, and it's just like, hey, you guys should,
Stingmon,
yeah. Oh, you mean Wormmon?
right? All right, Stingmon is his champion.
Hmm.
It's just really weird. It's just really weird. Anyway,
Yeah.
one thing you mentioned May in
Hmm.
this movie. Yeah, she once again gets a larger focus than the other Digidestin because she's kind of the one character that Tri is kind of about underneath it all because Mekumon is the source of this infection that's happening in the digital world,
Mhm.
and she's her partner. And I remember May being a lot more annoying the first time I watched these movies, and I didn't find her too annoying in this time around.
I You know what? I think I went through the same thing. It didn't dawn on me until you just said it. Because when I was watching this last night, I was thinking it was like because like the first scene, like when May sees Mimi and she runs away, she's trying to avoid Sora at school. It's like no, she has trauma now.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
absolutely terrified because her Digimon, her friend, caused a lot of damage, and she knows that
Killed Leomon.
yeah, killed Leomon, and now she's holding on to this thing that she knows Mekumon is the source of the infection, and she just doesn't want to tell the other Digidestin, but eventually she does. And of course, that's kind of what I kind of enjoy about how these movies are called what they're called. Like
Mm.
determination, like in the last film, determination is Joe and Mimi being determined to move on with their lives and to live their lives to the fullest. Where this one you have confession, where you have T like not to jump so far ahead, but you have TK's confession about how Patamon was infected and why he didn't tell the rest of the Digidestined. You have Mako's confession about how she knew that Mekumon was the source of the infection, but she didn't think it was gonna. She, but she didn't think that Mekumon was going to infect other Digimon, or because she was like, she's so good, she's so nice. Why is she like this? And yeah, it makes sense. I really do like how like the underlying the titles of these films also impact the theme with what's
Sure.
going on.
Yeah, I
And of
didn't
course,
notice that. That's a good
yeah,
observation.
yeah, and of course, like reunion's kind of obvious. Reunion, all the Digidestin get reunited again. They go, and the original Digidestin get reunited, and they start fighting again.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I didn't really notice that. I knew reunion was pretty easy, but I didn't put the determination and the confession thing together. Um, yeah, so we learn fairly early that Patamon is infected,
Hmm.
and that was so sad.
Patamon tastes blood,
Patamon like bites TK. Like
like straight up bites him. You see blood. You see like two little hole marks in TK's arm. It's like, dude.
when one of the things I think this movie does well, especially if you're a nostalgic fan of Digimon like we are, this one will make you cry.
Oh yeah.
I found my eyes misting a few times in this movie. There's the scene between TK and Patamon at towards closer to the end of the film when Patamon has noticed that he's glitching, that he's
Hmm.
infected. He now is aware of the fact that it's happening to him, and he says to TK, "It's like if I turn, you gotta take me down." And TK just can't, and they like just hold on to each other. And like this really emotional moment between TK and Patamon that I think really works. Like I think it works really well. And I think it's well written. And you really feel for both of them. And I think one of the things that this movie specifically does well is you really feel for the Digimon more, I would say, than you do for the Digidestin.
Oh, 100%. Um, because even though these characters are because even though they're like they're digital monsters, they're still I mean, obviously the show is called Digimon. It's about these digital monsters as much as it is about the human kids. But the whole time when Patamon is talking to the other Digimon, like the fact that they are finally like conversing and figuring out, it's like because throughout Reunion and Determination, the focus has been on the kids. This one
Mhm.
is finally more focused on the Digimon, who are the ones being infected, especially with Patamon's infection. You see Agumon get the little glitch through his eyes, so you know that
Mhm.
he's infected. And when they're talking about like staying in the server, staying in quarantine, yada yada, I was like, wow, I know this film came out before 2020, but man, this is giving me flashbacks to like the COVID conversations when our own pandemic was going around.
I mean, still going around.
It's still going around, yeah. It's still a thing, but like when it was first sprouting up and people were talking about trying to be safe and quarantining and all that jazz.
Confession came out in 2016. Interesting.
Yeah, 4 years before the shit.
Anyway, yeah, I think you brought up the discussion between the Digimon crew. I think it was really good when they escape the server, not escape the server, but they just kind of run out of the room.
Hmm.
Um, and they all are talking to each other in a way that you really never get them to talk to each other before. Without they don't have the Digidestin with them. It's just them, and they're conversing and they're problem solving and they're trying to figure out
Hmm.
like, hey, this is happening to Patamon, which means it could happen to all of us at any moment. What are we
Yeah.
gonna do? What is this gonna look like? Um, I think that's a really good scene, and I didn't expect to see something like that.
No, I 100% agree. Even with Gatomon trying to like be the adult in the room, because I know
Well,
I
she's
mentioned
the
this.
oldest technically.
Yeah, well, she's the champion level out of all
Yeah.
of them. Because even because I mentioned this last time that when all the Digimon when they're in their rookie forms, they all act like little kids.
Mhm.
And then as like with Agumon, he's constantly trying to. He's like, "What's that? Can you eat it?" He's like
Oh,
constantly talk.
real quickly about Agumon, I'll just interrupt you and just say I think Agumon is a little stupider than he was in the original show in these
Definitely,
movies.
most definitely.
It kind of bugs me a little bit.
It does. I'm 100% with you there. It's like, look, I know Akumon's big thing is food. That's always been his character arc. But even when Gatomon is just like sick of him constantly trying to talk about food, it's it's like a good like, dude, stop and think for a moment. We
Yeah,
get it.
I think classic Agumon. I think there's a sense that like classic Agumon probably wouldn't be this jokey. Like there's a moment where they even like call him out. Like this is not a joking matter.
Hmm.
Um, I think even classic Agumon would have realized that. I'm not saying that um the version of these characters are drastically different. I just think in some cases they're a little bit more. They're a little bit. They're in Agumon's case, he's a little bit stupider than he was in the original show.
Yeah, I would I 100% agree.
Yeah, but you were
Still,
saying about something else.
uh, oh, what was I going? I was gonna say, it's like, yeah, I still love the guy, but he dumb.
Um, there's a great moment in the Digimon Adventure 2020, the newer series, where Agumon and Ogremon kind of have a rivalry,
Hmm.
and as Greymon, and they fought, but Devimon sends a different Digimon to kill Ogremon during their fight. Like it became like this kind of friendly rivalry that they wanted to prove who was stronger than each other.
Hmm.
It was really engaging, and Devimon ends up killing Ogremon before they can finish the fight. And Agumon wakes up after that fight is over, and the first thing he says is, "I wanted to finish our fight." He's sad that Ogremon is dead because he's like, "I wanted to finish that. I wanted,"
Oh.
and it was a really good moment. And I realized that Agumon is not the same Agumon as the one from Adventure One. I just wanted to highlight that moment of being a
Yeah.
good moment.
No, that's a good moment.
Anyway, um, oh,
Also, I do want to say that we also get a little bit of because if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was Loss or Coexistence where you and I saw in theaters together, but
I'm pretty sure it's coexistence.
I want to say it was Coexistence, but I feel like I
Because
don't know.
Lost is the next one, right?
Yeah, Loss is the next one because I remember the next film being mostly focused on Sora, and in this one you get like a little bit of a hint that Sora is gonna be like the main character in the next movie because she's constantly talking because Biomon when they're all the Digimon are spending time with their partners. Biomon's like, Sora, you gotta take care of yourself as well, and she's all constantly talking about how, oh, I need to take care of. I'm calling Izzy. I'm calling the rest of Digidestin. I'm making
Yeah.
sure everyone's okay. She's playing the role of mother hen, and Biomon is like, hey, just take care of yourself, Sora. You don't have to constantly take care of everyone else.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw this note and I want to. No, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till we get to the reboot. Um, I don't think anyone's upset about Leomon enough.
No, I 100% agree. They
Not
don't
one
even mention
mention of Leomon.
not one mention. You saw one of your best friend Digimon, who I believe is also in the picture that they constantly like blare out in the sun, which kind of
Oh, I
annoys
think
me.
so. Well, it's Angemon, not Angemon. Android. What's the android Digimon's
No,
name?
no, it's not
Is
Andromon.
it
It's the
Andromon?
it's another machine type Digimon. Andromon
It's the
is the
RoboCop
dude.
looking dude.
Yeah, Andromon's a RoboCop looking dude. Um,
Because he's in that picture, and then so is the other one, the one that he digivolves from. It's the two of them.
yeah, what? Because I think Leomon's also in that picture too. But also, one little nitpick: I understand you might not be able to use like the same designs from the original Digidestined or from the original show. You should, because you're, I don't know. But every time that picture is always like glared out by the sun, and you only get like a little tiny quarter or a little tiny snippet of it. It's like, just show us the whole damn picture. We know what they look like. Just show it to us, please.
Okay, I was wrong. Leomon is not in this picture, and neither is his original his first. Here, I'm just gonna show it to you. This is the picture that they keep blurring out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's okay. It's Jedi is piloting
He's in
that.
this dude,
I forget.
and then Ogremon is in it, and so is
Centaurmon.
Centaurmon? Is that his name?
Yes. Yeah, it's Centaurmon.
Oh, and so is the nursery dude. Oh, this was taken at the nursery.
Oh, Elecmon's there?
Yeah, this was taken at the nursery.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did write a note about the scene where all the Digidestined are with their partners and how it really pulls. Because you were talking about earlier how this movie definitely like pulls at your heartstrings. It gets you misty eyed, and it's more focused on the Digimon than it is about the kids. I mean, I know I was kind of harping on Agumon earlier about being kind of stupid and constantly.
Oh, when he's trying to get Tai to like hang out with him, it's great. Like,
Yeah,
legitimately.
it's weird. Agumon goes from like, dude, you're annoying, stop being this, to like, Agu, like you would drop everything to play with Agumon, even when, like the scenes that stick out to me is obviously Tai and Agumon, but also it's Joe and Gomamon.
It's Joe and Gomamon for me. Like that's my
Mhm.
standout when Joe is like, I want you to meet my girlfriend, and Gomamon is just so happy for Joe.
I know.
And like you see that big smile on Gomamon's face, like it killed me, man. Like I was so like that one and Kari and Gatomon.
Yeah.
Gatomon at the mall. And like
Mhm.
that stuff like really tugged at my heartstrings. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
and Gabumon being like, hey, can you play the harmonica again? Jesus.
Oh.
Jesus.
He just walks in on Matt, and Matt, I just like how Matt is just so nonchalant. He's like, "Sup, Gabumon?" He just like, "Oh, hey, here's my dick," because everyone else is like, "What are you doing out in public? You gotta be a stuffed animal." but but Matt is all just like, but Matt is just like, "Sup?" And Gabumon's like, "Hey, play the harmonica." And cause all he wants to do is just listen to Matt play music, and then Matt's like, "Okay, I'll play." Like Matt is still doing like his whole tough guy persona thing, but when he finally busts out his harmonica, and Gabumon like trying to be like, no, just do what you want, just do what you want. I just want to hang out with you, man. I just want, and then he finally plays the harmonica, and Gabumon just stands there and just enjoys it.
See,
It's very
it's these moments that we realize that this movie, while I think it wanted to be about TK and Izzy, ended up actually being about Tentomon and the other Digimon.
yeah,
And especially like Tentomon, who has in the background of this movie probably the most tragic arc in all
yeah.
of these films because he knows he's infected. He's not going to tell Izzy, and he's just going to let Izzy work.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want anyone to bother Izzy because he knows how important this is to Izzy. He loves Izzy so much that he's willing to sacrifice his last moments with him so that Izzy can do what he feels he needs to do.
Right.
And it's so upsetting to watch Tentomon kind of like keep everyone together a little bit. Like he's trying to be like the kind of like both sides guy. Like when Agumon says, "Less talk, more snacks," I know. And he
Mm-hmm.
like flies over. Like he wants to keep the Digimon happy but also out of TK's way because they're all friends. And but TK is so important to him.
You mean Izzy?
Izzy, yes, thank you. Sorry, because Izzy is so important to him, and it's really interesting to watch Tentomon in this movie. That I wish I wish there was more focus on Izzy and on Izzy as a character in this one.
Definitely. I even wrote a thing about Izzy, like, damn, Izzy, go to sleep. Because,
Well, not just that, like just hang out with your friend. What the fuck?
yeah, just be with Tentomon. I do 100% agree. Tentomon does have the set. I mean, I thought Patamon and TK had the sass arc because TK is just like willing to. He does not want to let go.
Yeah.
I feel that that's because TK, when we all went to the digital world the first time, he was the youngest, and he and Patamon like really had a strong. Not to say that the rest of Digidestin don't have a strong bond, but I would say TK has the strongest bond with Patamon because of how much they went through. Not just like
Yeah.
with the original adventures with O2 on top of that, and especially with all the stuff that Patamon went through, like the Devimon arc. Patamon was last to Digivolve. He beats Devimon, and then he
And
goes
dies.
back to, and yeah, he dies and goes back into a Digi-Egg.
Yeah. Yeah, I think TK and Patamon's arc is good. But I find Tentomon's arc to be rather tragic.
Oh yeah.
I will say I wasn't going to bring this up, but I need to. Joe says, because when they mention that Joe has matured a bit more since he stopped studying, he said maybe Joe evolved to Mega,
Yeah, I
and I
was gonna
wanted to
write.
kill him. I wanted
I
to
know.
kill him.
Yeah. I wanted to. I actually was about to make a note about that in my own notes, and I was like, you know what? I know we're probably gonna talk about it, but it was just one of those lines.
I wasn't gonna. I mean, these kids are idiots. Like really, like these Digidestin kids are idiots.
But we love them.
We do love
They're
them.
especially like TK Digivolved into a Flirtmon. I know that was like the worst one from Determination.
That's awful. So going back to the scene with the Digimon,
Hmm.
when the Digimon are talking, I want to talk about Kari, because there's a moment where Kari, she picks up her phone and then she gets possessed.
Hmm.
I thought for a minute that we were going back to the Dark Ocean. The thing that kept Kari in 0102. I don't know if you remember the Dark Ocean very well.
I want to say kinda
You
just
should look it up while I'm doing this this riff, because
okay.
it was a big part of Kari's arc, and I thought we were going back to that idea
An
when
01
she
or
was
an 02?
possessed. Just type in Digimon Dark Ocean,
Okay.
and you'll be reminded of this. It was this. It wasn't. It was kind of this like alternate plane of existence, but not really in the digital world. It's kind of adjacent to it. And that was like possessing Kari. And I thought we were kind of doing that again. So I thought that when she was possessed, we were kind of doing, oh my God, are we going back to the Dark Ocean? I was kind of excited
Hmm.
about that. But apparently, she was actually just possessed by something called homeostasis,
Yeah, that was weird.
which Himikawa says is a Digimon, but feels like but I think that's the voice that we hear in the first episode in Reunion. The voice that we see that's doing the whole narration at the very beginning of Reunion. I think that's homeostasis, which would mean it's not a Digimon. It's something else.
You know, okay, I'm looking up at the wiki for the Dark Ocean, and I think I kind of remember this.
Hmm.
But once again, it's been a very long time since I've seen O2. Because there's a picture of like Kari staring out into an ocean, and then I'm like looking through the wiki really quick, and it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
this is where Ken.
it was kind of a depression thing, and like Ken was
Yeah,
possessed by it too, and
yeah, that's where he dips his D3 into it,
yeah.
and he gets the black D3, and I'm like, oh okay, you know, just another excuse for me to go back to watch O2.
You should try and do it before the movie comes out.
I should. I really
Familiarize
should.
yourself with those characters.
I definitely should because because we constantly talk about how nostalgic we are about the original cast because you know it's the original cast is the first ones the characters we latched onto, but the second kids do really enjoy the second generation kids very much. But I will also remember like every time like Ty, Mimi, and the other Matt when they would show up in Digimon Adventure O2, I'm like, yeah, there's my beer. I love those guys.
I agree. I think O2 is very good.
Hmm.
And it's like 54 episodes.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
not that long.
I wanted to talk, but I was getting to some of the about Himikawa name dropping
Hmm.
homeostasis, and like she has this whole thing about like, oh, I'm with the government, and I know all these things about Digimon. It's important to mention that Kari doesn't mention reboot. She
Hmm.
does. I think Himikawa took what Kari said. I think she's right about Mekumon starting a reboot. But I
Hmm.
think it's really telling that what Kari says to the Digimon, and all of its vagueness, doesn't actually say that the digital world is going to be rebooted. Himikawa does.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has more to do with Himikawa. I think Himikawa wanted the digital world to be rebooted.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I
I
mean,
have
well, I know something about this character that you don't. So I'm a
I
little
think
ahead of the game there,
I
but yes, I think it might I think she had an ulterior motive to tell the Digimon, hey, get reboot in your head because it's coming.
I think I also remember why. I mean, we could talk off air because I don't want to like spoil it in this episode, but I do, or I'll just text it. I'll just text it to you. I'll just text it to you. But yes, because he every time like Himikawa's now on screen, and every time she talks to Digidestin, I just know that she's like plotting and scheming, and it's like, ooh, because when you first meet her, I also kind of like how her arc is going from like the stern and straight and stuck up government lady to like no, she has ulterior motives. That she is willing to do stuff by any means necessary to
She
get what she
wants
wants.
she wants something, and at this
Hmm.
point, the audience doesn't know what that is, and the Digidestin doesn't know that that is the case.
Right.
Um, so we've gotten to the fight now,
Hmm.
where where the reboot is happening. By the way, Mekumon's Digivolution looks really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Thought that looks really cool. Where they digivolved, where they all digivolved the champion, and they all try to fight her,
Hmm.
and even Angemon and Angewomon's there, who's an ultimate,
Hmm.
and they're all losing because they're all getting infected one by one by one by one.
Hmm.
This is where Tentomon really shines for me, and I'm sure it's the same for you,
Oh yeah.
because when Tentomon is there and they're like, hey, I've got this thing, Metal Greymon and Kabuterimon. You guys get everyone into this backup so that we can keep you guys safe. So we can when the digital world reboots, you guys won't lose your memories. And it's really great. And it's a really good plan. But it doesn't work because Metal Greymon gets infected. And
Hmm.
Tentomon, and so Izzy's finally like, Tentomon, you just get in there. And Tentomon has this great moment where he's like, I can't do that to them. Why would I can't I have to try to save them. I know it's not going to work, but I can't do that to my friends. We're all partners, we're all friends. And I'm like, oh my God, Tentomon, really tugging at the heartstrings here,
I
buddy.
know. Like you wouldn't think Tentomon to have this sweet moment where he's looking up at everyone and they're all infected and they're fighting for their life and they're just fighting, just trying. And he just goes, I know, I just gotta try. He's gotta do stuff. And what he digivolves to Mega Kabuterimon, and has this like little speech. He's like, I'm gonna do. I forgot. It was just like such a compelling little speech. And then when he finally digivolves into Hercules Kabuterimon, that's like a hell yeah moment.
I want to say real quickly that I'm really glad. I know that when he digivolves to Hercules Kabuterimon, he goes from, we don't see the second digivolution to Kabuterimon, because when Kabuterimon's defeated, he turns back into Tentomon, and I'm really glad they made it just this is Tentomon's moment. This isn't Kabuterimon's moment. This is Tentomon's moment.
Hmm.
I know they're the same person, but it lands better because it's coming from Tentomon
Hmm.
specifically. This little Digimon that's standing on top of this box that could save his life, looking up at his much more powerful friends, saying, I have to do what I can to save them."
Hmm.
It's a really powerful moment and a really good moment that honestly saves the movie in more ways
Yeah.
than one.
Oh yeah.
Um, and finally, and so then we see him go from Kabuterimon to Mega Kabuterimon to Hercules Kabuterimon, which is a great moment, as you already said. Hercules Kabuterimon is a great design, and I'm glad we got this Mega.
Seeing just even the little speeches like where he's talking was like, is this it with my friends? And then all the infected Digimon, they just hug him and he pushes
Oh my
them
god,
back into
the
the
hug
field.
when he's down, and he's like, this can't be it. This can't be goodbye. And then it looks like they're all hugging,
Hmm.
but he's pushing them forcefully back. So I guess the implication is that they are still infected and not wanting to go through. But he's got this moment where he's just like, I'm doing this for you. I'm saving you all. We are all going to survive this together because of my actions, my sacrifice. Um, it's such a good moment.
It
I
is.
loved it so much.
It is. Although I did notice one odd little thing when Kabuterimon digivolves into Mega Kabuterimon.
Hmm.
Because now this isn't a nitpick. This is just me being very nitpicky, and it's not nothing against the movie. It's just because you know how sometimes things in Japan are translated different into English.
Hmm.
When you
Oh
see,
yeah, you see the Digivice. The name is not Hercules Kabuterimon or Mega Kabuterimon. It's something
yeah,
else.
it's like Ultra Kabuterimon, but it's spelled different.
I don't
Or
remember. Let me look that up. Let me see what Kabuterimon's Japanese name is.
yeah,
While you say some stuff.
no, that was like because I saw that and because I was like, huh. Why does it say like Altair Kabuterimon? But then of course when he digivolves he says Mega Kabuterimon. It's like, oh, okay, so it's just a translation thing.
Okay, so Mega Kabuterimon. His Japanese name is Atlur Kabuterimon. Atlur Kabuterimon.
Oh.
So
Huh.
that's his Japanese name, and his American name is Mega Kabuterimon.
Huh. That's interesting.
Interesting. There's
Yeah.
Dino Tigermon. That sounds cool. Man, there's so many cool Digimon that we haven't seen before.
Oh yeah, we meet Jessmon for the first time in this at the very
Oh,
end of this movie.
I have a lot to say about. Okay, so Hercules Kabuterimon is Heracles Kabuterimon in Japan. So kind of the same.
Yeah, kind of the same, but also it makes sense because he's based off a Hercules beetle.
Yes, yes, he is.
Yeah. Actually,
Okay,
did you remember seeing where you saw like outside of the show in the movie where I saw Hercules Kabuterimon for the very first time?
where?
It was the Digibattle card game that came out in the early 2000s.
Really?
Yeah, Hercules Kabuterimon was one of the Digimon in that starter deck, and it was the mega level. And I saw it and I was like, "Wait, is this Tentomon's mega form?" And I was like so excited. It's like, "Oh, where are we gonna see the mega forms in the show?" And of course, we never do. It's only War Greymon, Metal Garurumon where we see mega forms. And I'm like, "Boo!"
Oh, I just met Metal Garurumon in the new show.
Uh,
It's cool. It's a cool sequence.
nice.
Um, okay, so I wanted to talk about the reboot before we get into after the reboot. There's a
Hmm.
lot of stuff about like quantized world and quantum seas and alternate dimensions that are not connected to the digital world.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of there is a Digimon multiverse. This is known. There is a Digimon multiverse because every Digimon season takes place in a different continuity
Hmm.
outside of 1 and 2. That and they have crossed over. There's a big like crossover event that happens with all the Digidestin from the different parallel dimensions coming together and teaming up. It's really cool. Um, Even the Digimon Tamers movie introduces Omnimon, but he says I'm from a parallel dimension, implying that he's the 0102 Omnimon and not a different Omnimon. Um, so there's a lot. There is a Digimon multiverse. However, the way this show explains it is confusing as hell, and I hate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's like they're trying to use so many computer terms, and they're just trying to make it sound so science fictiony. It's like, guys, dumb it down. Just like
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
just
I've seen Evangelion. I've seen
yeah.
Evangelion. I can deal with a lot of weird shit. This is too weird for me.
This is yeah. I 100% agree. It's like look, when you're watching a show like Digimon or even the movies like Digimon, you're going in. It's like this is a show about digital monsters that can turn into giant beings with big metal arms and they can shoot rockets out of their skulls. Just accept it. Just roll with it. It makes no sense. Just let it roll. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm okay. I could roll with that. That's totally fine. The second is like, oh, the quantum sea and is like and it's like a constant digital frontier, blah 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 blah. The second they try to like make it sound like so sciency and so I don't want to say highbrow, but make it sound more important than it really is. It's just like just say alternate dimensions and infinite universes that
Well, there's
are
this idea. So in this movie, every Digimon continuity. Did you freeze?
yeah. Yeah, I lost you for a second there too.
So there's this idea within Digimon that of this multiverse, and so every multiverse, every different universe of Digimon has introduced a different way that the digital world has been created. In Adventure 1 and 2, it was always that, like, at the advent of the digital age came the digital world. So it's not this ancient world. It has existed for maybe 20, 40 years at this point.
Right.
And so, like, we keep that here, but then we add all the shit about different parallel dimensions, and I'm like, just I love when you want to go crazy. Like, don't get me wrong, I love crazy. I love you want to go as crazy you want. That's why I like comic books. That's why I like Evangelions. You want to go nuts with your nonsense? Do it. At least make the nonsense make sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm falling on this different parallel dimension. At this point, I don't understand the quantice worlds or the quantum seas or it doesn't work for me.
The
That
second
said,
is like,
in the next movie, it could change.
yeah, and then the like homeostasis. I'm like, that sounds just like the weirdest. I don't know. I hate the name.
Homeostasis. So Digimon Tamers, real quickly. Digimon Tamers. The villain Digimon Tamers isn't a Digimon. It's from a different world. It's a completely different entity than the digital world. And I feel like that's what homeostasis is meant to be. So I don't mind the homeostasis thing. I just kind of need more there. And so I'm willing to wait on that one. It's the parallel dimension thing that I'm getting a little lost with right now.
Yeah.
So I wrote a note here because you brought it up. I'm going to say I put a note here. I wonder where Alphamon is. And then at the end of the movie, we see Alphamon. That was kind of fun. So Alphamon and Jessmon are fighting at the end of this film. Right?
Yep.
And Izzy name drops them as both being ultimates.
I call bullshit on that.
Yeah, what the hell?
That's not an ultimate level Digimon. That's a mega level Digimon.
100% it has to be.
Both of them are like when Alphamon shows up at the beginning or in Reunion and has that big ass flavor, that big fight with Omnimon. Omnimon is a mega. I don't even know what level Omnimon is. Is Omnimon supposed to be
mega? He's mega.
Yeah. So Omnimon is supposed to be a mega level Digimon. Are you telling me that? I mean, I know that ultimate level Digimon can hold their own against mega level. I mean, look at Magna Angemon from the first series where he was able to defeat Piedmon with the Gate of Destiny.
Sure.
But you see, ultimate.
The official Digimon wiki, mega.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, they look ultimate. No, bullshit. They don't. They look mega.
They look like god level Digimon. They're the ones who was like, hey, we're here at the beginning. Like when I first saw them, when they first started fighting, I was like, oh, it could be like the opening battle of good versus evil, Alphamon and Jessmon. Alphamon representing evil, Jessmon representing good. And then they're fighting to see like who has like what the digital world will take, but then they realize, oh, we have to keep balance. I don't know, some philosophical bullshit about keeping balance and yada yada yada. But then it's like when the second Izzy said they look like ultimate level Digimon, I'm like, no, they don't. No.
Yeah, he is a Royal Knight. Jessmon is a Royal Knight Digimon, which I assumed, much like Omnimon and Alphamon. And yeah, mega. The official Digimon Wikipedia doesn't lie, I hope.
Yeah. I hope so too. I do also realize there are also a few notes, and I've made these notes a few times in Determination and in Reunion. But there are times where there is just
I'm gonna see if I can. This guy. He just keeps floating around in different areas of these movies.
Yeah, is that what just?
No, his name is Hackmon.
Hackmon.
Yeah, he digivolves into something else. I don't actually know if we see his digivolution in this series.
Yeah, because we keep finding him throughout the entire movies, and I'm like, who the hell is this dude? Oh well, it'll probably be.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be explained a little later. I hope so. Anyway, I don't actually remember.
Yeah. So where was I going with? Because I was on a tangent. Where was I going with that tangent?
There's things that keep happening. Did you write the note? I'm sorry.
I was going on about like Jessmon. The edits, because there's some shots in this movie. Like there was a shot on Himikawa that was like very prolonged. It was like 5-7 seconds where she just stares in her office, and I'm like, did my DVD? Did my Blu-ray freeze? is something because there were times where I'm watching this movie and there were like some weird edits and weird cuts and just weird dialogue inserts where I'm like, did my Blu-ray glitch? Was my I hope my Blu-ray is not damaged, and then it would just continue on as normal. And I was just like, okay, but I know because I know with like Digimon and other film and other anime, there are some weird cuts to be made for some reason or other. But I noticed a few of them more in Confession than I did in other movies. It didn't completely ruin my experience of the film or my enjoyment of the film. But there were times where I'm like, okay, this is just a little bit weird. I don't know who's editing this, but they kind of gotta step it up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that one. I think it's probably just a different sensibility of editing
Mm,
than you would get here. I do think that the first one was uh, strangely edited. I didn't quite get that here.
okay.
Um, but there is a mystery about Alphamon and Jessmon. Why aren't they Digi Eggs? Why aren't they
Yeah.
in training? Um, and the because it's confusing, and we even see Mekumon, and she's champion already.
Hmm.
So either this reboot didn't work, or there's something far more going on than the reboot could solve.
Yeah.
Which is probably that one, honestly.
Hmm. And also, they have not only that, Himikawa shows up when all the kids are about to go into the Digi world, and she just busts out Ken's black Digivice. I'm like, guys, do you not recognize that?
And why does she
That's
have
Ken.
that?
Yeah, why is she? They're like, oh, a D3. It's like, no, that's Ken's D3. You all know this. You've seen it before.
And you've seen Ken
Yeah.
recently.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. This kind of like perception filter that's
Yeah.
on like the O2 kids. You know, like when to use D and Dark as an example, Ben Magnet's other podcast. When Dracula has a perception filter that nobody can remember Dracula, like they have like a vague recollection that this evil vampire exists. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how the O2 kids are treated in this movie. Like there's a perception filter that they just can't think about them. It just
Yep.
doesn't work.
Nope, doesn't work. And this is just a me gripe. It's not a gripe against the film. This is just a me gripe. Why do they all go back to the digital world wearing the school uniforms?
Why not? They didn't know too.
Eh, I don't know. I don't
You
know. I
wanted them
was
to
just,
wear their original outfits from
well,
'01?
maybe not their original outfits, but just like you're going on a big adventure. Maybe don't wear your school uniform. It's gonna get dirty. But I don't know. That's just a me gripe. It's like whatever.
It's most likely I'd be curious to know because I wonder if it's a budgetary thing. Like this is just the character models they can work with and they can't really do
Prob-
much else with it.
Probably because I mean, wearing a school. I mean, it's easy to you don't have to design clothes for every single kid. So that's probably like, just put them in the school uniforms, make it easier to animate.
Yeah, because as much as things look 2D animated, hand-drawn animated these days, most of it is in a computer.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. I'd be curious to know about that one.
Yeah, once
I
again, just to
don't.
be.
The last thing I want to bring up about this is I don't like that they rebooted the digital world.
Hmm.
I think we're halfway through this Digimon Tri series, and I felt the same way the first time I watched them. I think it doesn't do anything for anyone's story arc to reboot and have all the Digimon and Digidestin start at zero. And it feels too much like a nostalgic, hey, remember the first episode?
Hmm.
Now, I'm sure the next movie does something really interesting with it. I remember it doing something really interesting with it, especially with Sora and Biomon.
Hmm.
But with it just feels like you kneecap everyone's story arcs halfway through the story, and I just don't agree with the decision.
Yeah, having the, having the reboot be a major part of like once again the mid season finale essentially, where there is a threat of all the Digimon losing their memories and they're trying to fight back against the infection. They're trying to fight back. But I do get that there is very much a nostalgia pull. It's like, hey, remember back when they first met their Digimon all the way back at the very beginning? It's like we've been through this before. I kind of don't want to go through all the Digidestin trying to get to know their
Yeah,
Digimon again. It's like
yeah,
one of the things that I mean, don't get me wrong, Tentomon's sacrifice and Tentomon not going into the backup field to preserve his memories was a noble sacrifice. And even if the movie like just ended there, or even if it ended with the kids going into the digital world and we started the next film with the kids waking up in the digital world, that would have been like, okay, cool, here we go. Second half of the season or second half of the story arc. They're in the digital world. It just doesn't. I don't know. It's I do because at first I'm like, oh, they have to meet they have to meet their Digimon again, and seeing all the Digimon in training forms with Tokomon blowing on the whistle was very cute. But at the same time, it's like, oh, we have to go through the awkward introduction phase again. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's a cute moment, and I'm glad that they found them, and I'm glad that they're all together. It's just weird. I personally feel like the story arcs didn't require you to start over, especially when the purpose of Try is to keep moving forward, which is why we're getting all these megas. Symbolically, the megas represent the same thing that the champions and the ultimates represented, which is that these characters are growing. They're constantly growing. They are moving on from where they were to
Hmm.
reach new levels, and the Digimon represent that. Uh, um, uh, Specifically, kind of more on the nose, that yes, these kids are growing and reaching new levels of their lives, and as represented by the Digimon reaching new levels in their Digivolutions. So when you have this idea that now that each Digimon is learning to go from ultimate to mega, like these kids are learning from going from kids to adulthood, why would you then kneecap that and now have all the Digimon go back to being kids and having to learn once again to digivolve to their mega forms?
Yeah, it's
Because now like realistically none of them they'll digivolve into their rookie forms in the next movie, but they're not going to all of a sudden just remember that, oh right, I can turn into Wargreymon, oh I can turn into Rosemon. But we'll get Garudamon turn into Phoenixmon somehow.
hmm that's
So
very
anyway,
yeah.
that's how I felt about it.
No, I seeing it now. I 100% agree. I 100% agree because I do like how one of the things I do love about the first three films is the kids growing or not really growing up, but also that I guess it is them growing up.
Mhm.
To echo you a little bit, it's them growing up, like in determination. It's Joe and Mimi growing up and realizing that they have to accept certain responsibilities, but they also can be determined to move on with their lives and move on with their dreams. Like with Joe, it's trying to live his life and not constantly stay. Whereas with Mimi, she just needs to she needs to think about other people for a hot second before she thinks about all the stuff she wants to do.
Right.
And with this one, whereas like it's TK, I feel like the TK's growing bit is him learning to let go of Patamon, even though he doesn't want to. But it's also like Tentomon, like because Izzy, well, because we're talking about how Izzy doesn't do a whole lot, even though he's on the cover and his Digimon is the one that gets the Mega Form. Izzy just doesn't really do anything.
So that's where I think this movie falters, is because Tentomon's arc is growing and learning and becoming and becoming Hercules Kabuterimon. Izzy, but Tentomon turning into Hercules Kabuterimon isn't representative of Izzy's arc, which is why it's kind of weird that I felt more about Tentomon than I did about Izzy. TK has an arc, but there's no resolution to it, which is why
Mhm.
it's weird that Tentomon gets the mega and not TK, because Patamon getting a mega form would be that culmination of TK's arc. But we don't get that. Instead, we get a wrap up of a Tentomon arc that was happening in the background, but one that's not even representative of Izzy's arc in this film.
Yeah, it's
And so it's really strange that that's why this movie is kind of really strangely structured. Like it's not quite sure whose story this movie is supposed to be.
100% agree.
Um. All right. Well, let's see. I guess we'll see how I feel about the next one.
Yep,
Loss.
yep, loss.
Loss. So stay tuned for that episode. That'll be next. Digimon Adventure Tri Loss. Let's rate this one, however. Ben, why don't you give this one a rating?
Oh, I would definitely say this is a 7.5.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some really good character moments and character beats in this movie, But the more I talk about it and the more we converse, the more we talk about the parallels between Determination and this one, the more I think I do agree Determination rules.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
I would give it a 7, actually. I give this one a 7. I think there's some really solid emotional moments. If you're nostalgic for Digimon, this one will make you cry. But as far as a story with clear character development, this one is lacking.
Yeah.
And it's lacking in an unfortunate way. Some decisions just don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, we're halfway through, Ben.
That we are.
Halfway through Digimon Adventure Tri, and then we'll do Last Evolution Kazuna.
Woo!
So that'll do it, guys. That's the show. Many of our shows right now on this channel are strike compliant. There is a WGA and SAG-AFTRA strike happening in the States, which means that many of our shows are on hiatus. So be sure to check out our website at FakeNerdPodcast.com to see which shows are currently on hiatus, which shows are impacted by the strikes, and which shows you can check out and catch up on, such as Basement Arcade and Fake Nerd Book Club, which are not impacted by the strikes, as well as this series, because this is able to go through because Digimon is a foreign project and not one that is striked. That's struck.
And also it's kind of old, and also it's pretty old. So
well, even if it was old, like we wouldn't be able to touch on it if this was like a WGA thing, but it's not. So of course you can check out you can stay tuned for us for the rest of us. We'll keep going with these ones, but definitely stay tuned if you'd like to hear more from us. We have our mothership show, Fake Nerd Podcast, is currently on a bi-weekly series to be strike compliant because there's just not enough news if you're not talking about movie announcements and TV announcements. But we are talking about the strikes every time. We are talking about the ways that these strikes are impacting things, and showing you why you should be in support for these unions to get a fair deal.
Hot labor summer,
baby, for these strikes to come to an end with a fair deal for the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA. So you can check that out every other Sunday morning. And of course, you can check out our TeePublic and our Patreon if you'd like to support us financially. We greatly appreciate all your support. All the links that I mentioned are down below. You can check them out on our website or just in the description below. You can find us all on Fake Nerd Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. FakeNerdGuys@gmail.com. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for CBR.com, AtomicGeekdom.com, where I have a Digimon article up that you can check out right now, and KaijuRamenMedia.com. Ben, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at BenMagnet27 on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and you can also find me writing for Fusion Gaming Magazine, Old School Gamer Magazine, GoNintendo.com, and playing Mary Frankenstein and Dean Dark, which Brandon over there referenced earlier this episode. So go ahead and check that out. That's my Dungeons and Dragons real play podcast I'm a part of.
New episodes coming October 11th.
October 11th.
All right, guys. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, subscribe on all the podcast, on your podcatcher choice wherever you get us. And until next time we see us, stay fake nerds. No, we're now departing the train. Shit, I should have looked this up.
Departing the station.
Nerds. We're departing the station and also stay fake nerds. What a horrible time for both of us to do shit. I sneeze, you take a sip. There's just seconds of silence that no one's going to remember to edit out.
Whoops.
Jesus Christ. I'm going to sneeze in everyone's ears who's watching this, who's listening to this stupid episode about Digimon. All of a sudden, they're going to get a huge sneeze. All because you had to take a sip of your drink at the same time.
Oh. Yeah.
No one's going to remember to edit that out.
I just think it's hilarious that you sneezed right when I took a sip. I would say that's like timing.